So being able to check out those points of visual input, so if you're trying to get a sense of, what is length in my mind, what are all these things, it's very tremendously helpful to get external visual input so that you have a sense in your consciousness of what you're trying to do. Because, the things that you get ingrained now don't work, and as you're experiencing, it's really tough to change them because you're kind of fumbling around in the dark trying to find something you don't know what it is. So this is why, particularly in more so on the team end, in big boats, why you can take somebody who has no experience whatsoever, put them in with a very highly experienced team, and in the course of, heck, sometimes even 8 months, you can get them up to a very high caliber of rowing, where especially if they're strong, where they can really add to speed. They may not be totally technically competent if the boat destabilizes, but otherwise, you can really get up to quickly. And this is the nice thing about rowing, is that the motion's pretty simple. You're just trying to do one thing repetitively. It's not like tennis or hockey where there's all these different nuances that you have to kind of master. So anyway, along those lines, getting those points of input and see what it feels like, and then hopefully from there you can kind of start to get the visual and then start to find it. And that's part of what we're doing with these drills and different things, is trying to get you out of your comfort zone so you can feel things in a different way, and then hopefully bring that information back to the simple aspect of just sculling a little slide on the feather, and then hopefully that makes you faster, more efficient, and hopefully in the process also allows you to enjoy this really cool experience out here. It's more than just erging on water. So, building on that, we've been progressing up with looking at some of these drills in terms of learning our mechanics, learning how to sort of feel the pin out here with various finger placements. I think initially we looked at the very first one was wide grip. And there's lots of different ways. Lots of different ways of kind of kicking ourselves out of our normal comfort zone. And so, if you've noticed, one of the themes we were looking at here is trying to find ways to increase stability in the motion, so that hopefully our nervous system and our brain and everything else can relax enough so that we can actually work efficiently, which will then make us faster. So we're progressing along this path of learning how to hopefully maintain connection out into the pins so that the boat stays stable, because we're working with a wide system as opposed to a narrow system. Or we can just roll one of these Wintex, and that will work as well. Probably won't be quite as fast, won't go quite as straight, but it'll be okay. So wherever we are with our comfort, we have to make sure that we can relax enough to actually feel what's going on. So, as we're taking next steps up, we're all kind of different places, so just giving you some information for some of you, as we have now gotten more lateral connection, and we're starting to feel the sense of, as I talked about a little bit last week, of this roll of the fingers when we're rolling up. So it's not this motion, it's this motion. And really, if you're able to get enough, if you got the grip size right, there isn't really a lot that's going to happen with your index finger in terms of the twist, because once you really kind of get the twist here, you've gotten most of the motion, and assuming that you're not gripping too tight so that you're kind of getting in the way of the finishing roll-up, this finger can stay fairly relaxed and open, which is good, because if we get too much weight, particularly on the outside hand, which is this part of it, it's all relative to the pin, so this is kind of outboard towards the pin is inboard. So if we have too much pressure on the index finger, this is going to cause the blade to be much more inclined to do what, Haley?
It's going to dip.
It's going to dip, yeah. So we can get a couple scenarios. So if we're like this on the recovery because we've got our too tight of it and we've feathered and now our wrists are down, as we go to square up, we're going to, instead of rolling with our fingers, we're going to square up with our wrists, which is going to cause us to do this. Which is, as we're coming up, blades are going to come up, which is the exact wrong time we want the blades to go up. We want the blades to be going down at that point. Okay? So, even just being aware of light index fingers can help. Just the difference between kind of that's this side to this side, and you felt that when we went to wide grip. Just move down a little bit, like, whoa, this is a lot to hear. before. I really have to pay attention. So you can see just that little bit of change in spread makes a huge difference in terms of stability. So index finger is nice and light. Huh? Yeah, the thumb, I'm going to get to that, but yeah, but it's a sense of this. So the thumb is there to hopefully work with kind of keeping that grip wedged somewhere right here at the base of the fingers. If we have it right at the end of the handle, that's okay. If we have the thumb right at the center of that grip, if we're trying to, in effect, basically resist and push away, we're not going to have a lot of leverage, particularly if we want to use the thumb to assist with the feathering action. So if I have my thumb contacting the lower portion of the grip somewhere we kind of, here's the center of the grip, boom. If I'm somewhere below it on the underside, as I push, I can roll it away. If I'm right in the center, I got nothing. I push and it just says, no dice. Simple physics, man, ain't nothing spinning. So I want it on the lower edge somewhere, which gives me a little more traction. I can resist the finger, so hopefully I can eventually get to the point where I can actually wedge it and keep it there, particularly on the drive. Yay, big success with Throw Your Party. And then I have my thumb there so that when I get to the end of the stroke I'm going to release, I can open my fingers, push with the thumb, and that impulse, the blades are very light. That should be enough to kind of twist you over and you're ready to rock and roll. Especially if you're doing that while holding lateral pressures and so things are stabilizing. Okay? So, progressing along. So, assuming we've gotten to the point where we feel comfortable, we've got this, everything's good, we're ready for a little more challenge. Great. So now we're going to say, we want to really kind of feel, how do we practice holding that handle in a particular orientation so we don't rely on the sleeve to either be squared or feathered. And so, if we've gotten to this point, then we start playing around with not letting the blades fully feather or fully square up at various points on the recovery. So frequently referred to as half feather, quarter feather, three-quarter feather, there are different orientations.
Yes.
We want to be able to have a sense of, I have the dexterity with my fingers to control the orientation of the blade. Why? Why would this be important to have a skill? Brainstorm. What do you think? Why? Anybody?
Having control in your fingers as opposed to...
Why would we want to be able to control the orientation of the blade rather than have to rely on the sleeve? Okay, keep talking amongst yourself.
Because you can roll into the catch without going clunk with your wrist.
Okay, good. Anything else?
To help with the start, you might not want to be fully feathered. You might want to have more square action, and you might want to have more control on a start.
All seem to be good ideas. Wheels are turning. I like this. This sounds nice. Anything else? These, what we have to have these understandings rather than just listening to me and saying, "Oh, I guess it's something." All right. We want to make sure that we are progressing in a direction where we can effectively change the blade angle anytime we want. Why? Because we are looking to be able to break ourselves of the habit of doing this. Okay? And we do this because this whole twisting thing is not very comfortable. I don't really like it. So you know what? I'm just going to delay. And then at the very end, I'll just, I got to get it out. Put it in. And we know that when we do this, usually we've already reached full compression. And our butt, darn it, is not inclined to stay at full compression because the seat rolls easily. So we get up there and our butt starts to slide down and we do this and we go, yeah, I'm in. And you're like, you've just missed this much of the slide. And you are now much slower than you were in potential before you got up there and missed all that water. Missing water is the biggest thing other than dragging something behind your boat that's going to slow you down. Okay? So we want to make sure that we are very confident in saying, I can put that blade in, I can twist it anytime I want. I am the sculling, feathering Jedi Master here. No problemo. These are not the blades you're looking for. Everything, right there, okay? So, to do that, we have to kind of take this in small little steps, because otherwise it's just too much of a jump. Okay? So we want to make sure it's can I actually get my fingers in a place where I can actually control the orientation of the blade. Darn that gravity, it's designed to either kind of go with those flat edges of the sleeve, so either those blades are going to be squared or feathered. Now I'm saying, I'm controlling it, not gravity. So I have to be able to put enough force in there to overpower that, which means I've got to have something here in my fingers. Okay? So I have to practice that. And the way to practice it is to put a different angle in the blade and keep it there. And then practice the sense of, I think I've got this angle in the blade. Look, man, I'm almost square. This is really awesome. My blade's like this. Oh, I got a long way to go. So I can boom, 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 boom. And because we have awesome flat water here most of the time, we have a very nice environment to practice this, because as we're doing this, we can keep the lower blade edge right along close to the water, which also will help us to do what as we get up to the catch area?
Put it in faster.
Almost, but give me more information. Why would this be helpful to have the blade right next to the water?
Because you're not going to dip. You can feel the water.
Yes, you can feel the water. We want feedback. We want to make this easy for ourselves. So if we can feel where the water is, we know where our blade is in relation to space. We're looking to kind of create this much larger proprioceptive understanding of where we are in our spatial relationship to the boat as a system. It's not me in a boat. I'm the system, and the boat's, we're all one. It's huge, and the span is wide. How long are the oars? Somebody quit. Long.
14 feet?
Not quite. Usually about
12 feet?
yeah, 12. Usually in the round, depending on what you've got your spread, it's something in the 12-foot range. So we put 2 of those in here. What are we looking at?
24 feet
Yeah,
plus.
big wide system plus the boat. So yeah, this is a large area of space that we have to be aware of. And surprise, surprise, as we're coming up, the blades are out of, unless you're just like amazing, like, you know, eagle vision, out of your peripheral vision. You cannot physically see them because you're out here. You have to have a sense of what's back here behind you, and you cannot see it. So you have to sense that, and having the water to provide you with feedback is awesome.
Not too much feedback.
Well, right, exactly. But for initially, we'll take too much feedback to make sure that we don't miss water. So we're assuming we're getting the feedback. Then we also are aware of how delicate and how little vertical motion is necessary to place that blade in. We don't need much. We're talking like this much. And that's another area where we frequently run into issues, is that we come up there and we think we really have to like put it in, and it's not necessary, because the more the shaft goes in the water, what does this tend to do to our boat? Slows it down. So the shaft is then dragging through. So you'll feel like, man, I'm pulling, yeah. But the boat's not going anywhere. It's like, well, I have a hard time getting out at the finish. So I really have to have a sense of what's going on here, and being able to control the orientation of the blade is fantastic for that. Because eventually then we can progress our way up to square blades, which really requires a lot of finesse and focus. But after you do square blades, normal sculling is like a piece of cake, which is why you do it. Okay? So, the task here is to work in, when we are ready and it's appropriate, non-full feather. Quarter feather, half feather, and eventually 3/4 feather. We keep the blades close to the water initially, and eventually as we get more proficient with the lateral pressure, we can eventually actually work those blades off. More so in the doubles and the quads, which is also possible in the single when there's no wind. And we're looking for videos on that. If the video of the French U-23 double is on the link site, perfect one for that. You can see there's some great GoPro cameras that actually show you things other than hitting bridges, which is good. And very nice shots of technically what's possible in a boat. And you have to be able to see it and go like, oh, you can do that? Yes, you can do that. And that's what I'm working towards. Is that right? Questions about that? So in terms of implementation of this for a drill, a good way to practice this would be to look at this, maybe do 20, 30 strokes at some kind of feather, and then we add full feathering, hopefully while we're still on the fly. And so usually, as we add full feathering, we don't change anything else, miraculously the blades will be off the water for a couple of strokes, and that'll be the coolest thing in the world, and the boat will start to, and then you kind of roll for that a while, and then you add in, non-full feather again and work with that for a while, and then, so you're learning a couple things. You're learning control. Eventually you're learning, actually, I can hold my hand slightly lower and level all the way through. Lots of different ways of extracting, positive information and feedback with this. Okay? Any other final questions? All right, so let's see, for some of you guys that just kind of practice it, the precursor to this is we have to have nice level wrists and we have to have that grip in the fingers. So if we haven't quite got that down, flag me while we're on the water and we'll look at that.
I told you about the book.
The book.
The sculling book that I read. And it talks about getting peanut butter off the palm of your hands.
Aha, yes. Sounds like I like it.
So that's kind of.
No PB&Js, good stuff. Yeah, sticky palms. All right. Okay. All right. Launch away.